4:01, I'll call the meeting to order. Our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Vice Chair, could you read our mission statement?
The mission of Marshall Public Schools is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Agenda approval. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any additions? Hearing none, please vote. Agenda is approved. Tiger Spotlight.
We just have the opportunity to honor and recognize our two student school board members today, I should say, Amran and Aniso. So I'll read what it says here. Today we honor our two senior school board representatives for their time on the school board. Amran and Aniso began their time on the school board in September of 2017. These two unique individuals have provided thoughtful insights and perspective to topics that affect the district. I know personally, and I think I speak on behalf of the board, I've appreciated the opportunity to get to know both of you. And like the information says, your insights and perspectives. So thank you for your years of work and helping share information about MPS with our students, families, and community. And certainly we wish you the best of luck as you move on to the next chapter in your lives. So congratulations and thank you, ladies. And we'll have Mr. Chapman give you some certificates.
I did want to try. So, to be in the middle. Okay.
I'll give you your certificate. Front page.
I don't know if you ladies know, but Amran has a full 4-year ride at Columbia.
Oh my gosh.
Anissa, what are you doing?
I don't know.
And that's okay.
That's
You will
okay.
figure it out.
I'm gonna do my generals, then figure out what I'm gonna do after that.
Good plan.
That's what I did.
Look where you are at today.
That's right. Public forum. This is a time allowed for the public to come and approach the board. Is there anybody that'd like to approach the board? It's always an honor to have such intelligent people from elders come and present to us. The floor is yours.
All righty. Do you want us to?
Yep, come on up to the podium. Alex will zoom in real close and tight and
Okay, so congratulations again on passing the referendum. Really exciting and great to see so many yes votes. So we will go through, at your meeting on May 20th, you did authorize us to move forward with your bond sale. So now we put together some pre-sale estimates and we just want to update you on those. Everything's looking really good. So we'll start with that, but we'll walk through a couple of items within the pre-sale report. I'll just highlight a few of the items. You've seen this format from us before, but first of all, the proposed issue, we definitely know that the voters authorized $29.8 million. The $28.99 million is the maximum amount that we would be able to authorize, assuming that you get a premium bid. And so the premium bid that we get on the day of sale is likely going to vary from what we're showing in the estimates right now, but based upon the estimates that we have at this point in time, we think that is about what the bond size will look like. So just you're authorized for that maximum 28.9, but this would be the maximum legally allowed if we get the premium bid that we're expecting to get. The purposes are just as described and approved by your voters on the ballot question. And then you'll notice in the term call feature, it's a 20-year bond issue, and we will have a call date. So whenever you issue bonds, we do have a date when you can prepay and call the bonds and hopefully lock into a lower rate at that point in time too. So each maturity for a municipal bond does have its own interest rate associated with it. So while we talk about the overall average rate, The interest rates on the longer term maturities are generally higher, so when we get 8 years out from now, those maturities will be 1-year maturities, and we'll likely to be able to lock in at lower interest rates at that point in time and have some savings for your taxpayers when the call date comes up. The State Credit Enhancement Program, that information was included in the resolution that you approved on May 20th. There's no cost to participate in that program, and the state then guarantees the payment of your debt. So we definitely want you to participate in that program. That helps us to get more bids and lower interest rates also. We will go through the bond rating process again, even though Dion has been through that recently. So we're hoping to get that scheduled later this week or early next week. And then moving on to the second page, just a couple of things on that. We'll solicit competitive bids. We're getting lots of bids right now in the marketplace and nice low interest rates, so you'll see some of that coming through on the estimates that we showed you too. That bottom section then talks about the premium bidding, the premium bid that we expect to get. So you'll see some references to the information there.
Just so you know, Jody, I didn't understand any of that premium bidding, so you don't have to explain it to me, but I just know that you guys do a good job.
Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about it on the sources and uses schedule, and then maybe that will help then too a little bit more. On page 3 then, other considerations. We did have you approve, or we will have the board approve a parameters resolution at their June 17th meeting, just to give us flexibility for the day that we take bids on your bonds. So on the 17th, there's already a lot of sales scheduled already. Generally, Mondays are the busiest day in the municipal bond market. So we just thought in order to get you the best rates and the most attention on your bond sale, it's a nice big bond sale, so we expect to get lots of bids. And so right now we have it scheduled on a Thursday. And so you'll see at the meeting on the 17th, the parameters resolution, which will authorize a board officer and superintendent or your director of business services to sign off on the proposal, assuming that you meet certain parameters. So you'll be seeing that coming up. On page 4 then, just to let you know, we're working in conjunction with your bond attorney, along with Bond Trust Services as a paying agent and Moody's as the rating agency. So those are the other service providers that are working with us on the bond sale. On page 5 then, just so that you can see what's happened so far and what will be coming up in terms of steps in the bond sale process. So May 20th is the day that you authorize the sale of the bonds. Pre-sale review tonight. We have our due diligence call to review the official statement with Dion and Russ on Thursday. And then we're getting the official statement actually should be distributed this Thursday then also. And conference with the rating agency as soon as we can get that scheduled. And then as I mentioned, the resolution for including the parameters will be at your June 17th meeting. We're scheduled to take bids then on the 20th. And then we'll come back with an informational presentation at your July 15th meeting, or if you have a meeting prior to that, a special meeting or anything that you schedule, whenever you're ready for us to do an informational presentation on the bond sale results, we'll come back with that information. And then we're scheduled to close on June 18th, so that'll be the date that you have your money to move forward with your construction projects. We'll go through the attachments then. So the first attachment is attachment page 6. And you can see, again, the authorized bond amount, the estimated bond amount, and then you'll see the par amount. We do have funds on hand that Dion set aside as part of your debt service levy for taxes payable 19 that you can use toward the interest payments that you'll have coming up. So that was something that was planned last fall as we move forward with the bond referendum process. That reoffering premium then is the amount that we expect to get from the underwriter in excess of the par amount of the bond. So we've been seeing almost all of our bids have been coming in with premium bids, and we expect to get a sizable premium also on this bond issue. The estimated investment earnings are almost $400,000. That's a pretty conservative estimate of what we think you'll earn as your funds are in hand in the construction fund and as you pay those out over time as the construction projects get completed. The allowance for discount bidding then is our estimate of what the underwriter will keep as part of their compensation, and that'll vary, and each of the underwriters on the day of sale will give us a different bid, but all of that gets factored into the final true interest cost rate that we award the bid based on. Legal and fiscal costs then, and then the net available for project costs, we're estimating to be a little over 30 million. At the time that we prepared your review and comment estimates, this was at about 29.8. So we're expecting you to have more available for your construction projects, which we know will be helpful. Ultimately, then, the deposit that you can make to your construction fund on day of closing is that magic number that you see at the bottom of the schedule there, the $29,691,880. And that's based upon the amount that the voters authorized, less the cost of issuance, the legal and fiscal costs that you see on the schedule. So when all is said and done, after any premium that we get above the par amount, the discount that the underwriters take, all of those different components, that is the most that you're allowed to deposit to your construction fund legally. So that, along with the interest earnings, is what we expect you to then have for your construction projects. The next schedule then is the size 2 font debt plan that you've seen from us before. And again, we're just showing your existing debt, the proposed new debt, and the combined totals, which ultimately gets us to a tax rate in the far right-hand column. And the debt service levies now that we're estimating, because interest rates are so much lower than when we put together our estimates in January, the debt service levies are about $4.2 million lower than what we were estimating at that point in time. And we still have some cushion built into these interest rates, so we're certainly hoping to do even better than that. So the rates are really helpful. The reduction in interest rates are really helpful in saving some property tax levies for your taxpayers. On page 8 then, you'll see the debt structure that we have set up with nice level debt service tax rates for about 4 years, and then a couple drop downs in the tax rate. And so we've talked about this providing you with some flexibility, as we know that you have other projects that you want to be able to accomplish in the future. So we have some flexibility set up in your debt plan in the long term so that you'll be able to move forward with some of those projects and have some reductions in your debt service levies to offset those project costs. So then, one of our favorite schedules is the tax impact schedule on page 9, and this is looking a lot more favorable again, because prior to the election we had set an average interest rate of just a little over 4%. So you can see that 4.05% in the heading, and now again, even with some cushion, we're expecting that to be at 3.1%. So a really sizable decline in the interest rates that we are seeing on municipal bond sales. So you'll see on a 150,000 home, for example, instead of $72 annually or a $6 monthly tax impact, we're at $62 and about $5 a month. And commercial industrial will also see a sizable reduction, assuming we lock in at this rate or lower. And even on $1 million commercial property, where we were expecting about $92 a month, that gets dropped to $79. So I think that's really helpful for the businesses then too to see that. You'll notice that the agricultural properties look even more favorable, and that's because the legislature approved the 50% ag credit. So we had planned on a 40% ag credit when we put together the estimates for prior to your election, and now that the 50% ag credit has been approved, those are factored into the taxes payable in 2020, and that's scheduled to increase up to 70%. So over the next period of years, it will increase each year. So that's nice for your agricultural property taxpayers. We had planned on about $5.1 million of your total debt service levies coming from the state in the form of the ag credit, and we're probably more like about $5.5 million now that will come from the state. So really nice to see that support from the state and help to keeping the taxes lower for your ag property owners without shifting it to the other property tax category. So years ago, when they've tweaked the property tax rates, they sometimes shift them onto different types of properties. In this case, it's a tax credit that's coming from other state funds and not getting shifted to your other property taxpayers. So you can see that with the lower interest rate, everybody is having a lower tax impact, and the ag property owners are just getting even more property tax relief. And then finally, we included a schedule so that you could see how municipal bond interest rates have fluctuated quite a bit over the last few years, but we're now on a downward trend, and especially as compared to earlier this calendar year when we prepared your estimates for the pre-election. So when we put together the estimates, it was kind of late January, early February. We were on quite a bit higher interest rate. Rates have really come down nicely and have been continuing to come down over the last few months. So we're hoping that we're going to continue to catch it on a declining point. So that is what we have put together so far. We'll certainly keep you updated as things are moving forward, and if anything changes dramatically in the market, we'll certainly be in touch with Dion and Scott to update you on that. But otherwise, we're planning to move forward and hopefully lock in at the attractive rates like you're seeing today, or something even a little lower.
Jody, the 3.10% average interest rate that you've used in the presale estimates, is that still a conservative, which would mean high interest rate? I mean, there's a chance it could be lower than that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's got some cushion built in compared to where we've been over the last couple of weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Questions, board? Very good, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks again for having us, and we'll be back whenever you're ready to hear the news after the 20th. We'll give you the parameters resolution, and if you need us to be at that meeting, we certainly will, but we'll be in touch with Dion on that. So you may not see us until July.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Board forum, board members? Anybody have anything they'd like to bring up?
Just a quick update. We started negotiations with the teachers union and went very well, off to a great start, and we hope we'll be able to wrap it up later this week.
Very good. And we're fixing to start our superintendent's negotiations.
Correct.
Anybody else? Drive safe, ladies.
We will.
Got a letter of appreciation for the Marshall Rotary Club.
I'll just comment on items 8.2 and 8.3. You know, the Pride in the Tiger Foundation certainly does a lot of really good things for the students and staff and families in our district, and I think anytime we can say thank you to them, and also the Rotary Club for sponsoring the Student Rotarian program, and definitely the scholarships. So hopefully you all had a chance to sign those letters, and I will either hand deliver them or they'll get mailed. So
Moving on to our discussion items. This is the second review of policies 414 through 419. Any questions? Moving on to our discussion items of the way we do our school board meetings. Personally, I kind of like the way they're set up now with the 2 a month.
I would move that we keep them 2 a month, as recommended by, 2 business meetings as recommended by Superintendent Munson. That'd be a motion I'd make.
So you're making a motion that you, instead of a work session, you want
2 meetings per month. They're both both action item as recommended by Scott in his memo to us.
So, you know, you can, hopefully you read through the memo, but, because it kind of outlines the options, if you will. And this conversation spurned from, we've seen a number of action items that have been placed on the work session agenda, which is fine. Structurally, it probably isn't necessarily set up that way, but what I've heard in conversations with several of you is, like what Jeff just said, and I think what Bill was alluding to, you like the 2 meetings a month, maybe, and leave them at the 4 o'clock start for the first one of each month and the 5:30 start for the second one. Maybe just call them both regular meetings, so that, you know, because work session kind of gives kind of construes that we're just going to you're going to discuss things, and yet there are times, as you know, where we just have to have you take action on items, especially with a lot of the things that will be happening with the referendum. So just call them both regular meetings, and then the structure of the meetings, other than maybe a few more action items on the first meeting of the month, the structure will remain the same. You'll only approve bills once a month, We'll only have administrative reports once a month, so not a lot will change really, except for the title of the meetings, if that's the direction that you want to go. Is that what you were kind of trying to say in your?
Yeah,
Okay.
in your point 3, in your memo to us, that's what I was trying to propose. One question, is there a reason why we have one meeting at 4 and the other at 5:30? Why not both at 4?
I think the 5:30 allows the public to come.
Yep.
Okay,
That's why it was originally scheduled for 5:30.
all right.
I would second Bill's motion to just change the title of that first meeting to a regular meeting.
Any other discussion? Any other comments? So we have a motion by Bill and a second by Bill. Hearing no other discussions, we call for a vote. It is approved. Authorization to enter into agreement with ICS Consulting. We have a motion.
So moved.
I'll second.
It's open for discussion.
This would just be the next phase of sort of the services agreement that we had talked about with ICS prior to the referendum.
Call for a vote, please. It is approved. Authorization to offer additional year of probationary status to Mr. Gagner. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Open for discussion.
I just have one question. Is he licensed?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, call for a vote. It's approved. We have a resolution regarding board control of extracurricular activities. Need a motion.
I'll move.
And we need a second. Okay, it's open for discussion.
So as part of what was passed through legislature, they're requiring that the student activity funds, which is not currently under board control, to be under board control. Basically what that means is the revenue and the expenditures that come through will be part of the financials now that the board approves.
That's not Booster Club related, though, that's just
Correct.
the,
Yep, that's just the student activities, be like BPA, FFA.
but the school fee, I mean, there's still, I mean, you pay a fee for all of those activities to the school, so that's what this is.
No, so the student activity fees that are paid are actually part of the general fund.
Okay.
These are separated funds that currently are separated under student activities like BPA, where the instructor and a student would authorize the expenditures that are available, that were raised. And now that comes under board control. That'll be part of the general fund. It's approximately $10,000 total that we have in our student activity fund.
The dollars that the extracurricular activities raise themselves, they're not fee generated.
Correct, but they're through the school system. They're not part of the boosters.
Okay, I was saying, how does
Yep.
that differentiate? Okay, so they're run by a teacher? then?
It's a student-run activity, but it's ran through the school system. Yep.
And Booster's a whole different.
That's what I'm just trying to
Correct,
distinguish.
yep.
So Dion, would an example be FFA fruit sales, I think, are conducted as part, kind of under the umbrella of the school district, so that revenue is raised, and then typically, whatever the FFA advisors wanted to spend those dollars on, the advisor and maybe a treasurer or an officer would sign the purchase order or whatever now.
Correct.
That will have to go through school board approval, so there will be an additional line in the financial report at the second meeting of every month showing those expenditures.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote, please. It is approved. Move to closed session. This is for Minnesota statute 13D.05. Motion to close. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we can vote, please. Meeting's now closed. Any questions, Mike, before you go? No? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for coming.